Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1062 of our daily content grind. I'm going to get some grievances off my chest with today's video because it's something that is personally frustrating to me. I know it's frustrating to a lot of you out there. We need to discuss it a little bit because it's becoming something of a problem in Transformer collecting, and that is going to be the constant upgrading of existing toys. So, a big thing that is going on this week is Takara officially revealing their T-Spark 40th anniversary, etc. Lio Convoy, a retool of the recent Legacy figure. And it's a gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous retooling of the original toy. The original toy is already good, but of course, it is commonly mocked, mostly because Hasbro opted to try for a more realistic sculpt to its lion head and mane than what the original figure and design presented. That's going to be problematic for Takara, who probably doesn't want this dopey-looking, flat-faced lion to represent Lio Convoy, who is a much more stylized and, energetic-looking lion. You knew that wasn't going to fly in the Japanese market. It's got to be cartoon accurate. It's got to actually look like the character. So we've gotten a good look at Takara's redo of the toy, and it's a beautiful, beautiful rendition. You've got some extra paint apps, like extra abs painted on the belly. You've got longer blades that come out of the lion arms in robot mode. You've got new details on the forearms, extra gray on the inside of the legs to match the original toy, and of course, not only the head of the lion but also the mane of the lion, far, far more accurately sculpted to the original design. It is a very spot-on, anime-accurate version of Lio Convoy. Probably the best you're going to get without buying the Masterpiece. With all that said, oof, expensive. It's not going to be the cheapest release. And this is going to be questioning, like, yes, I want the really good version of the toy, but do I really care enough about Lio Convoy in order to actually go that route? Maybe not. Not with that expense attached to it. But the truth is, I really shouldn't have had to do that in the first place. The collector in my brain goes, why couldn't I have just gotten the good toy to begin with? And why did we have to settle for this like lame flat lion? You knew Takara was involved with the engineering. They helped sculpt the thing. You kind of figure that was going, like Takara wouldn't put up with that in the first place. So what happened there? The point being, I'm getting kind of tired of getting these inferior versions of these characters first, only for the later version to come out and it being better. Like, I feel like I'm being punished because I was an early adopter to a toy that I had no idea a year later would come out as a vastly superior version of itself. Now, we're going to clarify this. When I'm talking about this, like I'm getting sick of buying upgraded toys, I don't mean existing toys that get a brand new toy, that just happen to be the same character. Earthrise Optimus Prime here, I know, does not hold a candle to 86 Optimus Prime. Budgets are completely different. Design direction is completely different. So that's not what I'm talking about here. That said, it is an element that kind of plays into this overall notion, and we will touch on it again at the end of the video. But for right now, we're just kind of clarifying the position. I'm more interested in toys that are released and then re-released later that are obviously better. And when I'm talking toys like that, I'm talking the recent Thundertron. Now, I'm not attached to Thundertron enough to look at that and go, okay, I'm going to buy that as soon as I see it on the shelves. I still see it on the shelves from time to time, and I don't really have any problem just kind of passing, It's a non-character to me. He appears in a few club comics, and that's really about it. He doesn't really play a factor in, Transformers Prime or the aligned continuity on the whole. He's entirely invented to be a toy. I was stunned that he even got a brand new toy in the first place because of that. So imagine my surprise to find out that not only were they releasing this version, but they were releasing an upgraded version as part of a multi-pack. Now, deco-wise, it's really just an upgrade to metallic paints and plastics, but you do have a hook hand now, which, you have to have the pirate thing there. And, of course, you have a new head sculpt, which is far more accurate to the head sculpt on the original toy and design. Why the first one didn't have that kind of head sculpt, I don't know. Or maybe I do know. Like I said, we're going to touch on it later, because this is building up to something. Don't worry, we'll get there. I know the other one that's frustrating for collectors right now is the entirety of the Soundwave situation. So if you're a collector that cares about value, you're already going to be annoyed that your Netflix Soundwave that was previously very, very valuable is now decreasing in value because they are producing a brand new one that's going to have all the bells. That's going to be the same release, but it's got extra bells and whistles to it. This is one that's getting frustrating for me because I already own this mold twice because I bought the original Netflix version. I was lucky enough to actually get my hands on it. And then they did this one. I ended up buying the dramatic capture set because I wanted more cartoon accurate cons on my shelf. And I really liked the metallic paints and everything on this version. I liked finally getting a version of that Earthrise Megatron. Getting Earthrise Megatron in a clean, no battle damage whatsoever deco that was way, way, way overdue. But it ends up with me getting another Soundwave, which is inherently a better version because it's got a lot more paint application going to it. But even then, this is still, these two, I'm still fighting for the fact that, it needs an upgrade still. Because, look, we're still basing this off the original Siege version of the toy. There's still little remnants, even this far after Siege. Even though we've gone through this many retoolings and repaints of the toy already, there's still things weird about it. It still has the landing skiffs on the forearms that are left over from the spaceship mode of the Siege version. I will point out to you, we still do not have an 86 version of Soundwave. If you look at all the big players from, Transformers the movie, the big characters. So on the Autobot side, Optimus and, Grimlock came out a while ago. Optimus is about to come out. Bumblebee just came out. Starscream is one of the first early 86 toys. We know that there is a listing for a Megatron. Out of the big six here, only Soundwave has yet to appear. And for a fact, they are going to make it a better version. So no matter what, you're still buying inferior versions, even if you're buying the brand new Legacy Leader version. Which gets frustrating. I have so many redundant Soundwaves. Do you have any idea how many laser beaks I have? They're stacked up literally like old cassettes right now. Speaking of that, there is another aspect we can talk about, and that is that Hasbro will commonly put out a version that is by opinion, inferior. I prefer cartoon accurate decos, but what Hasbro and thus Takara end up doing a lot is releasing something that leans more toward toy accuracy than cartoon accuracy. The result being that when I want to get the cartoon accurate version later on, Blaster here, I've already bought the first one. Because part of the collector experience is to actually have the toy when it's brand new, enjoy it while it's still exciting and fresh, and then talk to friends about it. How did you like the toy? I thought this was cool. Mine had this little quirk to it. Was yours okay? I like that discussion. I like that social aspect that this community and collecting tends to have. I like to be able to sit down and talk about the new stuff. And it's doubly so because of the YouTube channel. I have to keep up to date with Transformers. It's kind of my job. So I need to I need to get the stuff as it comes out. So I'm going to be an early adopter on a lot of this stuff. And it's frustrating because, of course, they don't tell you that, well, later on, we're going to release it in cartoon accurate deco. They don't do that because, well, they're technically tricking you into buying the first one because it's the new hotness. It is the new version it's the new toy, it's the new thing. Go get it right now. It's on the shelves. without telling you that, oh, by the way, the deco you really want is 6 months out. They're not going to say that because they know they're going to get you to buy it twice if they leave that information under wraps. And they ultimately know Cartoon Accurate's going to be the more popular choice for deco, which is why they always come second. Case in point, there's your Cup. Now, Cup is objectively inferior as a Studio Series toy rather than the Buzzworthy because they base the color scheme on an unofficial color deco done for, that passed for like an authentic character model. So when they went to like translate it for a toy, it didn't really work. And the colors are weird, they're off. It's kind of Cup, but it's not really Cup, They fixed it for Buzzworthy though. Second release, hey look, now he's nice and clean. The colors in the vehicle mode are where they're supposed to be. The hues are correct and animation accurate. Oh, and by the way, we got rid of the translucent blue. Now, for something like Blaster, I want to get rid of the translucent blue because of the durability factor that comes with it, with translucent plastic in general, especially on that poor little eject and his translucent ball joints that he's constructed from. Those, to me, are a time bomb, and I really don't want that as part of my collection. So I consider the Cartoon Accurate version with the solid plastics to be a genuine upgrade on that toy. Most would see that as just, objectively different. Like we just have a difference of opinion there. You might like the translucent blue. Maybe you don't have a problem with clear plastic. Okay, fine, whatever. But when it comes to the blue plastic on like Studio Series Cup, why did it ever end up there in the first place if the toy never featured it and the cartoon model never featured it? In the cartoon, it was always off. It was kind of like a very pale blue, almost like close to an off-white. And then in the toy, it's completely white paint. There's no translucent plastic on that toy at all. So getting rid of that in the case of Cup is absolutely an upgrade, regardless of whether it's toy or Cartoon Accurate that you're worried about. The frustrating part about this is that, one, well, this Cup already needs a redo because, yes, the head sculpt, we know, but also because there is literally nothing I can do. There's literally nothing I can do to get that original version, sold for any decent amount of money at this point because such a better version exists. Case in point, Pterosaur. When Pterosaur launched, it was really hard to get a hold of. Amazon sold out really, really quick and never restocked it. So you had to be very, very lucky to get your hands on Pterosaur for your Kingdom collection. But then Takara did their Beast Wars Again 2-packs, and now Pterosaur is actually pretty easy to get a hold of. I watched a toy that was close to $100 if you were seeing it on eBay get reduced down to like below normal deluxe price, which is mind-boggling to me. See, the way I used to keep up with my collection and the way I used to fund it is to sell the old toys as the new toys came in. That way my collection always kind of balanced itself. I wasn't really impacting my income or my ability to pay bills as a result. I'm doing better than I used to, so I've kind of let go on that. But I am currently at a spot where my collection's kind of overwhelming. I need to thin it down, and the thing I look at are things like my Pterosaur, which I now have a better version of. The problem is everyone has a better version now, so everyone's selling it, so the demand tanks. So you're actually like, this is where I kind of like convey that like it's not a bad thing to let some Transformers just be rare without reissuing or doing any upgrade version of them, because ultimately I want pieces in my collection to feel special. I really do want them not to like carry a monetary value per se, but I want to have bragging rights to the toys that I have. I want to be able to say, hey, I managed to get that. Here, look at it on its podium. Aren't I superior? Maybe not exactly like that. But I would like for elements of my collection to feel special. And like with modern toys and Hasbro's tendency to do packaging refreshes, to do upgraded versions, and then Takara doing upgraded versions, that's a whole other mess. That's a whole other mess. And here's the truth, is that Hasbro and Takara really do want that. As I said, they're never going to announce the fact that cartoon accurate decos are in the plan and they're on the way, because they want to sucker you into buying the first release, and then later on they know for fact you're going to buy the second one too. If they told you right off the bat that, yeah, the cartoon accurate version is going to be on the way, they really wouldn't do it. They wouldn't sell the first one. It'd end up on clearance and it wouldn't do well. They know they have to make money back on the first release, so they're going to make it seem like the first release is it. They're not going to tell you a future plan. They're not going to tell you a cartoon accurate deco's on the way. You have to, it's the FOMO. It's the fear of missing out. You have to be in. You have to get it. You have to get it right now, because you never know what we're going to do. And it's true. We never know what they're going to do. Here we have this nice cast of cartoon accurate Autobots, but I don't have an Ironhide or a Ratchet that are going to fit in there, because the way they answered that was to do the battle damage, like the dying versions. I don't want them to have big holes in their chests. I just want a Ratchet and Ironhide that fits in with the rest of the 84 cast here. And I would say the same of the Bumblebee currently fits, thankfully. But there's still little gaps. Prowl also got a battle damage version instead of solid plastic. So that means Blue Streak. I don't have a Blue Streak that's going to fit in with this cast. And they always do the cartoon accurate second, because they know that's going to be the more popular release. They just know that's how it's going to work. So you're kind of stuck. And the truth is, they kind of want you to be like that. Like, ultimately, when you look at a toy like Cup, you go, the head sculpt really needs to be different. The weird 5mm arm and leg attachment gimmick really should be cut out, because that is going to harm the overall durability and longevity of the toy. That toy does need a redo. I would like to see another version of that Cup released, where, maybe the shoulders sit a little bit higher, maybe the head sculpt is a little bit better, that kind of thing. The truth is, though, that in the same way that Hasbro releases these upgraded decos and, retools that are, objectively superior to the first release, they're also never really going to provide you a perfect version of a character. Let's go back to Optimus Prime again, and we go back to one of my biggest gripes with Earthrise Optimus Prime, in that the Siege version it's based on is objectively better to some people than the Earthrise version. Yeah, it's not as cartoon accurate, and yeah, maybe the deco isn't as, accurate as you'd like, there's battle damage, etc. But the toy's proportions are better. The robot mode can look better, especially if you have that 35th anniversary version. Yeah, it kind of looks better than the standard one. And also you have things like the legs, how the wheels fold away. They fold away on the Siege version to make the leg look a lot cleaner in robot mode, but all of that engineering that makes that possible was gutted from the Earthrise version, and only enough to make it so that the wheels were stuck in place, because most of that engineering is still there. They just didn't utilize it, and you go, why didn't they utilize it? Why didn't they just leave that leg engineering alone so we could have a little bit more of a clean robot? Because they never want to give you the perfect version. In the same way they don't want to give you a perfect deco, they don't want a purely definitive version of any one character to ever be released. Case in point, we're all amazed at how good Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime looks. The shape, the proportions, the colors. This is immaculate. It's spot on. It's still lacking some things. Some people are going to argue that the trailer inside is missing details that the original toy had. You're going to have people arguing that, the midsection, the abs are fake. They could have used the grill from the actual vehicle mode. It doesn't have an ab crunch. It doesn't have double jointed elbows and knees. Advanced levels of articulation that some people expect these days. You're going to have people argue that it should have a toy accurate deco rather than a movie accurate deco. People are going to nitpick over using white instead of silver or gray. And you're just going to get that. You're just going to get that. And then you could argue accessory count, because there's, a ton of accessories Optimus Prime could come with. This one really only comes with a few possible ones. Gun, axe, effect part, but we don't get like surfboards and basketballs or anything like that. So it's still not definitive, not for everybody. It's as good as we've gotten, but it's still not a definitive all around everything you could possibly want Optimus Prime, and that's the point. At some point, they need to be able to do a better version, because if this one is perfect, why would you buy an upcoming Optimus Prime that isn't doing it quite as well? So there are still a few things that could be done better on this version of Prime, just as there were better things on the Siege version than the Earthrise. If the Earthrise version was any better than it is, why would you buy the Studio Series 86? If your Optimus Prime needs are completely satisfied, why spend $90 on an upgrade? And that's kind of the scheme, and I'm kind of getting sick of it. So yeah, Lio Convoy just kind of emphasized this for me. Like, I really wish I knew if I was buying a toy that's going to get upgraded, relatively soon. I probably wouldn't have bought Lio Convoy if I knew Takara was going to put out a completely stunning anime accurate one, and then, the price point wouldn't hurt me so badly, because now I'm looking at spending, I've already spent the $35 on the US version, and then that plus what I spent on the Japanese version. Now I'm in it for more than double, just trying to get a hold of a perfect one. And because a better one's coming out, my previous one isn't going to sell for much on eBay. So ultimately, I'm even deeper into the hole of Lio Convoy than I would have been if I just waited for the better version. And that's getting really, really frustrating. And that's happening more and more. So that's kind of me. That is kind of me. I've got a little bit more I could rant about, but we'll save it for another day because we were already over the 20-minute mark. So this is your chance to just vent frustrations. Don't get too angry. Don't get too angry in the comments, but it's nice to know if people are on the same boat as I am. If you're just kind of getting fed up with it, like the same way I am. Let me know in the comments below, but keep it civil. Keep it civil. Try to be nice about it. Oh, and don't start ranting about third party, and these problems, because I've seen them do it too. But for now, that's what I got. Like I said, just needed to vent today. And that's what we've done. So, thank you everyone for watching me vent. And as always, I will see you next time.